So, any advice for a new DM?
Oh, well, you really should know all the rules.
Okay, so rules, but anything else?
Like, I feel like you did really bad at that.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, you didn't know that when your con modifier increases, it increases your max HP retroactively too.
Oh, really?
Well, also you said, like, you took 8 hours to prep. Yeah, like, it should only take you about an hour to prep max. And, like, your encounters weren't very hard. Like, they weren't threatening at all.
Oh. Okay.
And, you know, there's, like, a lot of DMs who do, like, a lot of other things, too.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you. I'll see you next session.
There's a ton of advice out there for new DMs. However, I've found some of it is better than others. So let's talk about some of the bad advice I've gotten as a DM. Never say no. Always say yes, but. This one people take a little bit too literally. While I agree you need to give your players agency and let them come up with ideas and spitball at you, that doesn't mean you should never say no. You should definitely try to strive to let players do what they can, even if you aren't prepared for it, which I think is, in essence, what this tip is trying to say. But if a player brings up something that is completely impossible, or that would offend other players at the table, you need to say no, and you need to say it firmly. So instead of never say no, it's more like try to say yes, which often at the table translates to, well, you can certainly try. Don't over-prepare. I don't even know what this means, to be honest. It's really very vague and not helpful at all, like most advice out there on the internet. What exactly do they mean by over-preparing? I honestly feel way more comfortable if I prepare a lot. That often means preparing for as many situations as I can think of. Because then, even when they do come at me with something that I did not think of, I've had enough possibilities drawn out that it'll be pretty easy to mix and match or combine something to fit the situation that they have brought me. But I only get to that point by preparing a lot. This set of advice is often accompanied by, you can't predict everything that your players will do. And while I agree, to some extent, you can't predict what your players are going to do, I find that I can predict what they want to do sometimes if I put myself in their shoes as a player, but again, it takes a lot of prep work for that. I'm not saying that preparing a lot is the right way to do things. You still have to learn to improvise, and improvisation can lead to some really cool moments. And there are plenty of DMs out there who don't have to put in as much time and effort into preparing for a session that I do. But I think that this advice is just bad advice because it really depends on the person. If you don't like what a player is doing, just punish their character in-game. No. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but this is a very passive-aggressive way to deal with poor behavior at your table. And in the end, it's going to backfire. Instead, what you really need to do is pull that player aside outside of session time and open that line of communication with them. Sometimes they don't even realize that they're doing something that offends another player, and if you just open that line of communication, that can be enough to solve the issue. A brief conversation may be all you need to do. Plus, most people play these games with their friends. Do you really want to lose a friend over something like this? It only matters if the players are having fun. While it is definitely important that the players are having fun, if you, as the Dungeon Master, are not having fun, your ability to provide that fun environment and the motivation to provide that fun environment will dissipate. It's 100% okay to stop DMing for a bit and reevaluate what you're doing. You might need to change things up to make sure you are happy about the way you DM and what you're bringing to the table. If you are spending too much time prepping, maybe you need to find a solution that helps you not prepare as much. Whatever you need to do, change it up to make sure that you're having fun too. It's a game for all of you, not just for your players. Plus, I would argue that if the DM is having fun, the rest of the party will have fun too. Encounters have to be super challenging, with the threat of death every time. Now, even if your players ask you to make extremely hard combat, doing so for every combat is exhausting, both for you and for your players. Not to mention that characters have really cool abilities that they get to use to change the tide of battle. They're essentially superheroes. But if you take that away and make even their biggest spell do only a minute amount of damage, it's no longer fun to play. It could lead your party to give up. Now, I do think that you need to strive for a challenge every once in a while, because having a balanced encounter every single time is also boring. You do need to shake things up. But let's be honest, that's what boss battles are for. Plus, mixing it up and having easy encounters and challenging encounters will make the game more exciting for your players. And some cool stories may come out of it. A DM should know all the rules. I'm sorry. What? This is probably said by someone who has never DM'd in their entire life. Even if I were to memorize the entire DMG, you do realize that that's not the only set of rules, right? Every module often brings a whole new set of modifications or alternative rules that you might want to incorporate into your game. Even each adventure can add some interesting and unique mechanics, which make for a great game. But there's no way you can memorize all of that on top of the DMG. Then you also have to know all of the different classes and all of the different abilities and subclasses. Then there are new additions like Tasha's and additional monster rules that they've created. Like, you gotta be kidding yourself. It's impossible to know all of the rules. That said, a DM should know the basics. Having a firm understanding of combat and other systems that you use on the regular is important. Knowing the rules will help you make judgment calls on the fly, but remember, you can always look up something later. We're all human, and we're gonna make mistakes. Plus, they give you a book for reference for a reason. You need to play D&D first before becoming a DM. I don't even know. If Gary Gygax and his crew had done this, you realize that D&D wouldn't exist, right? While playing before being a DM definitely helps, it's definitely not required. If you have a group of friends that want to play D&D, why would you wait? Instead of waiting for your DM to get some experience, you could just be getting experience right now by playing with your friends. Plus, they provide a whole book for you to learn from for a reason, so that even a beginner can learn it. And I would also argue that 5e is a lot easier to step into that role than other versions of D&D. You're basically a god. You can do anything. I mean, yes, but no. Yes, you have the ability to change the rules and manipulate things for cool story effects. It's where the rule of cool comes in. However, you still have rules you need to follow. Also, changing every rule to fit your needs as a DM is not in the spirit of D&D. It will also make your players start to regret joining your campaign, because no matter what they do, you're going to change it to fit your needs. If you want to make a major change of the rules, discuss it with your players beforehand and stick to it. Now, this isn't to say that you can't make mistakes, because obviously there's a lot of rules to remember, and that's okay. But you have to remember, you can't control the game, and you need to let your players have agency to make decisions and affect the world. Also, gods are NPCs, and you're way above them, so yeah, but I digress. So don't listen to any of that advice. If you're a new player, you can totally do this and run a one-shot without having any prior experience or knowledge of D&D. And you can do so by following this video here, where I pretty much tell you exactly how to run a one-shot and why you should do that. And then we go into a whole thing that talks about, like, creating the one-shot and the monsters. And it's like a whole series. And it's, it's pretty good. So, go over there.